Red Bull Racing is standing on the edge of the most dangerous gamble in its entire Formula One history. Not a gamble on a driver, not a gamble on strategy, but a gamble on something far more unforgiving. For the first time ever, they are building their own engine. If it works, it could redefine the sport. If it fails, everything they've built could start to unravel faster than anyone expected. For years, Red Bull Racing dominated Formula One without ever touching the most hazardous part of the operation. Engines came from experienced manufacturers. Reliability wasn't their problem alone. If something went wrong, responsibility could be shared. That safety net is now gone. In 2026, Red Bull won't just race a car, they'll race their own heartbeat. The new power unit is being built from scratch through Red Bull Powertrains, alongside a high-profile partnership with Ford. On paper, it sounds bold and innovative. In reality, many inside the paddock quietly see it as reckless. Championship teams simply don't do this, not during a regulation reset, not while they're already on top. Red Bull, for the first time in years, is voluntarily stepping into unknown territory, and the timing could not be worse. The 2026 regulations completely redefine what a Formula One engine is. The traditional combustion engine, once the heart of the sport, is now only half the story. The other half comes from electric power, and not just a little. The new MG UK will produce nearly 3 times more power than the current system. What used to be a supporting role, becoming a co-star, and managing that power is brutally complex. This is where the real danger begins. Red Bull has unmatched aerodynamic expertise. They've mastered airflow, downforce, and packaging better than anyone on the grid. But electrical power management, battery efficiency, and hybrid software control are a different battlefield entirely. Teams like Ferrari and Mercedes have been refining these systems for over a decade. Red Bull is learning in real time, under the brightest spotlight in MOTORSPOT. Any small miscalculation can spiral out of control. Too aggressive deployment can overheat components. Conservative mapping can leave massive performance on the table. Software errors don't just cause lap time, they can shut a car down instantly. And unlike aerodynamics, these failures often happen without warning. But even that isn't the full scope of the problem, because electricity is only half of the new puzzle. For 2026, Formula One moves to 100% sustainable fuel. And this isn't a minor adjustment. This is a complete rewrite of fuel chemistry. These fuels must be created from sources like captured carbon, waste materials, or non-food biomass, all while delivering the extreme energy density required for a Formula One engine. It's clean on paper, but brutally difficult in practice. Fuel has always mattered in Formula One, but in 2026, it could quietly decide championships. A tiny edge in combustion efficiency can translate into meaningful horsepower, and right now, Red Bull is entering a fuel war against rivals who have been preparing for years. Ferrari has worked alongside Shell on sustainable fuel development long before the rules were finalized. Mercedes and Petronas have invested enormous resources into understanding how new fuel blends behave under extreme loads. Red Bull, meanwhile, is developing a brand new engine and a brand new fuel at the same time. That alone alarms engineers across the paddock. Engine development usually relies on stable fuel chemistry. Fuel development relies on stable engine architecture. Red Bull has neither. They are attempting to solve two unknowns simultaneously, and history suggests that approach rarely ends cleanly. And the ripple effects don't stop there. Because when the power unit changes this much, the car itself can't stay the same. The 2026 Red Bull won't just be an evolution of previous designs, it will be a full reset. Reports and paddock whispers suggest the team may abandon its trademark pull rod suspension philosophy, a cornerstone of their championship-winning cars, in favor of an entirely different layout. This isn't a small tweak, it's a fundamental shift in how the car behaves and breathes. For years, Red Bull's suspension design allowed clean airflow to the rear, feeding downforce exactly where they wanted it. Changing that philosophy alters the entire aerodynamic concept. Rumors suggest this shift may not even be performance-driven, but packaging-driven, forced by the sheer size and cooling demands of the new power unit. If true, that's a dangerous compromise. When design choices are dictated by necessity instead of optimization, lap time tends to suffer. And even Red Bull's own engineers seem to understand what this could mean. Quietly, internal voices have acknowledged that an early power deficit is not only possible, but logical. Competing against manufacturers with decades of engine experience, expecting parity out of the gate may be unrealistic. In 2026, that's a terrifying thought. Engine power will matter more than ever, and unlike previous eras, there's almost nowhere to hide. Straight-line speed will be exposed instantly, lap after lap. Yes, the FIA has introduced mechanisms intended to help new engine manufacturers catch up. Extra testing allowances, additional development freedom if a gap is detected, but none of that creates instant power. It only buys time, and time is something Red Bull may not have. While they learn, their rivals won't be standing still. And all of this is unfolding during a period of internal instability that Red Bull has not faced in years. Behind the scenes, the team has suffered a significant loss of experience. Adrian Newey, the architectural mind behind their most dominant cars, is gone. Helmut Marko, the relentless talent scout who built Red Bull's driver dynasty, has stepped back. Other senior figures who once formed the backbone of the operation have also moved on. This kind of brain drain is damaging in any era. During a regulation reset, it's potentially catastrophic. Leadership transitions create uncertainty. Processes change. Decision-making slows. Institutional knowledge walks out the door, and the person tasked with managing this transition is immense pressure, not only to stabilize the team, but to guide the most complex technical project Red Bull has ever attempted. Which brings the focus to the most dangerous variable of all. Max Verstappen. On track, he has made dominance look effortless. Off track, the reality is far more complicated. Verstappen has a long-term contract, but it's widely believed that performance clauses exist. If the car is no longer capable of winning, those clauses could change everything. Verstappen himself has been unusually candid, hinting that early testing could involve more time in the garage than on track. That kind of realism doesn't come from nowhere. Rumors continue to swirl about rival teams watching closely. Mercedes, in particular, has made no secret of its admiration for Verstappen. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is official, but in Formula One, conversations often begin long before public moves are made. If Red Bull's engine project stumbles badly, the implications extend far beyond one bad season. The engine doesn't just power the car, it anchors the entire future of the team. If Red Bull and Ford get this right, it will be remembered as one of the boldest successes in Formula One history. A team that trusted itself enough to rewrite the rules and win anyway. But if they get it wrong, the fallout could be severe. Loss of competitiveness, loss of talent, loss of the driver who defined their golden era. This isn't just about lap times or regulations, it's about identity. For the first time in years, Red Bull Racing is facing a future they can't fully control. A future where confidence alone isn't enough. The next months of testing will offer the first real clues. Whether this gamble becomes a masterstroke or the beginning of a long rebuild will soon be impossible to hide. One way or another, the entire Formula One world is watching.